What's up guys, Lon here from Android Authority, and I'm here in New York City checking out the Moto Z3 Play. This is the successor to last year's Moto Z2 Play, and it's sort of been modernized for 2018. So the first thing you're gonna notice is the display is now an 18:9 display. It's also a little bit larger than last year's at 6 inches, but it's still a 1080p screen, and it's still an AMOLED display. So it's still very vibrant, very contrasty with those inky deep blacks. It also has much thinner bezels now, and because of those thinner bezels, they had to move the fingerprint sensor to the right side of the phone, but this is just a standalone fingerprint sensor. The power button is actually on the left side, which I thought was a little bit awkward, but it's really not that big of a deal since you don't really interact with the power button that much on a daily basis. It's impressively thin at just a little under 7mm, but as far as the rest of the shape and the dimensions, it's pretty much the same as previous Moto Z devices, which is to be expected because of the support for the Moto mods. The big change here is that it now has glass on both the front and the back with a metal frame that wraps around the sides, and the glass is made of Gorilla Glass 3, and Motorola says they went with Gorilla Glass 3 instead of Gorilla Glass 5 because they didn't really see much of a difference in scratch protection between the two. You'll also notice that the Moto Z3 Play doesn't have a headphone jack, which is unfortunate, but it really isn't all that surprising of a change. In the US, it'll be priced at $499, which will get you 4 GB of RAM and 64 gigs of internal storage, and it'll also come included with the Moto Mod battery pack. And in other regions, it'll be available with a 6 GB version with 128 GB of storage, and you'll also have the option of a Moto Mod speaker. Other specs include the Snapdragon 636 processor, which Motorola says is 30% faster than last year's model, and you also have the same 3000 mAh battery with turbocharging, which should give you the same amount of battery life, if not a little bit more. The cameras have also been improved over last year's model. You now have dual cameras on the back with a 12 megapixel sensor at f1.7 and a secondary 5 megapixel sensor for capturing depth information, and the front facing camera is now an 8 megapixel sensor. You also have portrait mode available on both the front and rear cameras, but the portrait mode on the rear camera is a little bit more advanced because of that depth sensor. One of the newest features to the camera this year that I thought was pretty cool is called Cinemagraphs, and this basically lets you take a still photo with motion, and you can selectively pick which parts you want to keep in motion, and it saves as a GIF or GIF, so it's pretty easy to share to social media or your friends and family. You also have Google Lens built directly into the native camera app, which gives you all the features of Google Lens that you would expect. And as far as the rest of the software, it's running Android 8.1 Oreo, and it's that close to stock like Android experience that we've come to know and love from Motorola. Because the Moto Z3 Play doesn't have a front-facing home button, the gesture controls that we saw on previous Moto Z devices has now been moved onto the display, but you can still swipe left to go back, swipe right to go to recent apps, and tap to go home. This is very similar to the gesture controls on Android P, and Motorola says that the Z3 Play will be updated to Android P later on in the year. So this has been our quick hands-on look of the Moto Z3 Play. Let us know down in the comment section below what you guys think of it. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. We definitely appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel, which is down below if you haven't already. And of course, hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos. And check us out on social media, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, Google+, all that good stuff will be linked down below. And check out the website as well for more in-depth coverage. AndroidAuthority.com, because we are your source for all things Android.